Hey guys, Sean C. Phillips here with my brand new DVD Blu-ray Tuesday shopping for today. Today, going to go out, see what things are on today, see what things are on sale. Like I said last week, I'm going to be at the San Diego Comic-Con convention all this week. So let me know in the comments below any things you guys would like me to show there, any of the booths, any of the exclusive you guys would like me to feature. And I'm going to have a video going up, Wednesday night late, a DVD Blu-ray and a toy hunting video. So be on the lookout for that. Like I said, late, Wednesday night, that'll be going up. And then I'll be doing like a tour video on Friday, and then I might be doing a random video as well on Saturday. I won't have the update video up this Saturday though, just because of all the Comic-Con videos and everything, but I am at the end of this video going to have some new DVD and Blu-ray reviews of some things I received to review and talk about, and then the update video though will be 2 weeks from next, this coming Saturday, so those will be back on schedule then. Also let you guys know, The Devil's Domain, I mentioned this one last Tuesday, that it was out on DVD and Blu-ray now. I got the Blu-ray copy of this one now. Just want to let you guys know this one is out. And in this one, I have a scene in here playing a bully, and then I'm, throughout some of the other scenes in the school. It's actually a really pretty, cool topical horror movie. Some really crazy gore effects in this one. So if you guys see this one, though, let me know what you guys think, but definitely check this one out. It's up on, Amazon, all the major, sites where you can get DVDs and Blu-rays. It's also up on Vudu and On Demand and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, though, guys, let's get going and see what we can find today. Into Target we go. And today was one of those days I felt like when I was just doing that intro, I was probably there for 10 minutes trying to get everything right. Some people think like with those intros, it's a one-take thing, but no, people were looking at me like driving, parking and all that, so it was quite a few takes to try and get that intro. And the big thing that came out today was, Kong Skull Island. I'm going to have a review of this one at the end of the video, but they have in here a only a Target exclusive one in here. Figure out where that one is. I think I saw it over here. Yeah, there wasn't too many of these ones. This one that has like this lenticular cover of Kong's face moving. This has in here a Terrifying Paradise Creating Skull Island. So I guess it's like a bonus content, DVD or Blu-ray in here for this one. But I actually really like this one a lot. The last King Kong movie, the Peter Jackson one, I liked it, but I felt like it was a little long, and it wasn't one that I really ever wanted to watch again too much. This one, though, I thought was actually a really pretty cool movie. I really like John C. Reilly in it. But one of the other ones that came out today as well was a new Resident Evil movie, the animated one. I believe this is the third one. I'm going to talk about this one at the end of the video as well, this Resident Evil Vendetta. And then this movie, I believe this was today, this movie, The Promise. I didn't get to see this one in theaters. Let me know if you guys have seen this one, if this one's worth checking out or not. I don't know too much about this one at all, though. But other than that, though, the other one, the last one today was, Free Fire, this other Brie Larson film, which was actually a pretty well done movie, all set in this warehouse about these two people, a group of these people trying to buy guns from one another, and then they get stuck out there in a shootout, and they're kind of not sure what they're gonna do. But other than that, that's all the main stuff in here today that I see. Into Walmart we go. And like I said, in Target, the main thing that came out today was, Kong Skull Island. And they have the 4K in here for $29.96. And they also have in here for $29.99 this, I guess this is the only at Walmart one. Yeah, and it has a different slipcover on it as well, this Skull Island one. And it's $29.99, which comes with Godzilla. So that's kind of cool, especially for this different slipcover on this. I'm pretty sure that this is an exclusive one, because this is the regular slipcover. But other than that in here, I think this movie came out today. This movie called Pray for Rain. I don't know a whole lot about this one. And then, like I said, Resident Evil Vendetta, and that's a pretty decent price for a 4K. The 4K for that one is only $19.96, and then the regular Blu-ray is $17.96, so only $2 more for that one. And then they have The Promise in here on Blu-ray, and then the TV show The 100. And I think this came out today, this other one, Tommy's Honor. I believe this one released today. And the only other thing I see today was this movie, this Brenna, the sequel to Ragmuffin. But other than that, that looks like all the main things in here that came out today. I think these ones are new. These are only at Walmart ones. They're only DVD editions. They're like a horror movie set that has Poltergeist from Hell, Jennifer's Body, Devil's Due. This is kind of a cool one if you guys don't have these ones. But like I said, it's only the DVD one. And I see this thing here for the Mighty Ducks. It was making me think that I saw that they announced for the Disney Movie Club, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and Honey, I Blew Up the Kids, which I definitely might have to get the club for that, because those are ones that I really want to get on Blu-ray. And they only ever released 2 in full screen full screen DVD copies of those ones. And this past weekend, the two different movies I saw was, Wish Upon, which that one's getting some really negative reviews, and I felt like, some of the stuff in there, like some of the deaths and stuff, had some unintentionally funny aspects to them, and some people like were really laughing bad at, like, especially one of the deaths. But I really liked it. It's basically about Joey King's father, who is like a junker in the movie, goes around and looks in garbage cans for junk and stuff like that, and he finds this old Asian music box, which he gives to Joey King's character as a gift. And she finds out though that it's like a wish box, and she starts making these wishes on it. And then one by one as she makes these wishes, they come along with a curse that, somebody ends up dying from them. And there are these crazy kind of deaths and stuff. It's not like a super scary movie or anything like that. It's more just like, things happening to people from the wishes that she made. But I really thought it was just a fun movie. Nothing to take too serious. But I did I really actually liked it a lot. I know some people, may not love it. But to me, I just thought it was a fun movie. The other one I saw was, War for the Planet of the Apes, which is the third and they say final of the Planet of the Apes movies in this new series, but I feel like they could definitely do more of them. And this is one of those movies too, I felt like after I saw it, I liked it a lot more when I thought about it. It's basically though about Woody Harrelson's character, who is like hired and by the army, and to basically go and try and find all the apes with him and his team and wipe out Caesar and all the apes to kind of rid the whole world of them. And that's kind of what it is. And he ends up killing somebody close to Caesar, or actually two people close to Caesar, and he ends up going on kind of like a revenge to find where Woody Harrelson's character is, and he wants to kill him. And that's basically him and a few other apes going on this journey to try and find him. I actually really like this movie, and the thing is, like I said, I liked it a lot more when I thought about it. And the motion capture work though has gotten so amazing. It really looks like they have real apes in the movie, because like when they first I saw the first one, like how they were doing it and not having the characters be in suits and stuff, I wasn't sure. But now when I think about back to the original ones and you look at how it is now, I think definitely doing it as motion capture instead of the suits definitely does work for these films. But let me know below if you guys saw these movies or what movies you saw this past weekend. Into Best Buy we go. And this is another one of the things that came out today, this, Buster Malhart, starring Rami Malek. I really, really love this movie. This was a really, really trippy, weird film. And this one came out as well, Another Evil. And I reviewed this one a little while back. This was a really funny movie about this guy's house that gets possessed by like a demon, these spirits. And this one guy ends up going in there to try and like get rid of them. And he kind of reminds me a little bit of Billy Corgan, but just a really ridiculous movie. And over here, though, for the Kong Skull Island, I thought that there was like a, steelbook of this one, but I don't seem to see it at all in here. I'm thinking that it was this one, this $34.99 one, because I believe it was a 4K steelbook edition for that one. But it seems like I looked at the front and in the section, it looks like though that one is like totally sold out everywhere, at least as far as I can tell. It doesn't look like they've got too many copies in for that one. And in here, the Resident Evil Vendetta one, though, they have in here an exclusive. It's like $5 more for it, of the 4K edition of the movie. Pretty cool steelbook, though, released for that one, which is an exclusive steelbook. But over here in the section, too, there's none of those steelbooks left, like I said, for the 4K one. And their 4K, for Vendetta, Resident Evil Vendetta, is $19.99 as well. So that's a really low price, for a 4K release. So that's all for this DVD Blu-ray Tuesday shopping for today. Didn't go too many places today because, tomorrow I'm going to be doing the whole video there, touring around the convention, looking for the DVDs, Blu-rays, and toys and all that. So definitely stay tuned for that video. Like I said, it's going to be up late Wednesday evening, like late in the evening, early Thursday, could be 1 o'clock in the morning, midnight, something like that. It'll be going up. So definitely stay tuned for that, as well as my tour video at Comic-Con as well. That'll be up late Friday. But anyway, though, guys, now stay tuned now for a couple new DVD and Blu-ray reviews. And the first one I got from Lionsgate is a movie which I had not heard too much about, a movie called Black Butterfly, which is a movie that stars Antonio Banderas. It's actually a really pretty cool movie that it kind of has like a sort of like a Misery type feel to the movie a little bit. It's basically about Antonio Banderas is this writer who lives out in this kind of cabin out in the middle of nowhere, and he goes into town one day when he's going into town, and he's kind of trying to cut over in the lanes, and he cuts off this one truck driver and kind of goes in front of him and almost causes him to have an accident. And of course, though, this truck driver follows him to the diner where he's eating, and he's like, "What were you doing?" And he's starts getting screamed at. And there's this drifter guy who's in there who ends up kind of helping him out and, like, hitting the guy and saying, get out of here and stuff. And Antonio Banderas, sees that this guy is kind of just a drifter who's, like, kind of wandering the road and stuff like that. So he's like, oh, you should come back. You can stay at my house for the night. It looks like a storm is coming in. You can stay with me. I should repay you because, what could have happened to me if you didn't help me with, fight that guy off and get rid of him. So he ends up, bringing him back to his house. And it's kind of like the guy is like, oh, I'll help you with your roof and I'll help you with this. And he starts kind of intruding on Antonio Banderas' life and, asking about, like, what he does. And he's telling about how he's a writer and he's trying to do his new story. And then he starts giving him all these ideas like, oh, well, you should do a story about what happened here with, you bringing me back to your house, and maybe I'm a crazy killer, and maybe there's more about me than you don't know. And he's kind of freaking out Antonio Banderas' character, and, like, the guy like sort of is, like, stuck there and kind of doesn't want to leave. It's this really weird thing about him trying to get him to write his story, and this weird relationship and these weird things going on with some interesting twists and stuff to it. Like I said, it's got that Misery type feel because he kind of becomes, like, trapped in his house and can't leave. I really, really like this one a lot. I thought it was just a really cool concept, and I like these kind of movies when they're all kind of in one setting with this real trapped type feel to it. But it has on here, though, a commentary track with the director on here, as well as a featurette on the movie. But really pretty cool movie here. The next one, and these are ones, I thought I hadn't seen them before, but then when I was watching the first one, I'm like, I must have seen this one years and years back, maybe like on, USA Up All Night or something like that. I know I saw them at some point. Like, I thought I hadn't, but then I realized that I did. This is the Warlock collection. This is from Lionsgate's Vestron video line. I really, really love this line. I can't wait to hear, what are going to be some of the next Vestron titles, because as far as I know, there haven't been any new ones, new ones announced yet. This is the 11th, release from the, Vestron line. This has, like I said, this is the Warlock collection. This includes all 3 of the Warlock films. Warlock, Warlock 2, The Armageddon, and Warlock 3, The End of Innocence. And the third one, though, Julian Sands is, not playing the Warlock character. It's a different actor playing him. But these are essentially movies, though, about this Warlock who ends up, he's in the first film, he ends up escaping from, the past, because he's like this kind of, like, instead of being like a witch, he's a Warlock, and he can kind of cast spells and do, like, these bad kind of evil things, incarnations of people and stuff like that. And he ends up escaping from, like, the 17th century into the current time, and the guy who was trying to kill the Warlock ends up, coming into the future after him to try and stop him. And what ends up happening, though, is Julian Sands' character, who's the Warlock, puts this curse on this woman and starts to age her, and they have to, find where he is and, basically to reverse the curse. And the guy wants to, bring him back and finally kill his character. The second one deals with the Warlock trying to get these stones, because then he has to get his powers. They're really, really cool movies. The second film was from the same director as the first Waxworth film. I believe it was the first Waxworth film. These are just really, really cool movies. I like the aspect, too, of, a character from, like, the 17th century kind of time, or 1691, going into the future, to modern time, in the 80s of the time. But it's just a really cool, like, fish out of water, weird type thing of him going there. Really, really cool, special effects in these movies. Tons of features on here. It has a commentary track on here with the director on the first film, isolated score on here, a featurette on the makeup effects here, behind the scenes footage, vintage interviews, tons and tons of brand new interviews on here, as well as a commentary track on the sequel, as well as behind the scenes footage, extended vintage interview segments. So a really great release. Really, really love these Vestron video lines. Really love the slip covers and the look of these ones as well. Like I said, I can't wait to see, what's going to be the next releases from them, and the picture quality in all of these is really, really good. The next one here, Warner Brothers sent over a free copy of these 2 ones to check out. I saw this one in theaters as well, and this is, Kong Skull Island. This is the 4K release of the film, and You know, the last King Kong movie, this one has no relation to that one. I thought that one was okay, Peter Jackson's movie, but this one to me, I thought was a much cool, at least to me, I thought it was a much more fun film, and I liked that it kind of added in some humor aspects to this with John C. Reilly's character. He's kind of playing almost like he does, you know, in the Check It Out segment, you know, from Tim and Eric, the Steve Brule. He's sort of playing that kind of character in this, but it's basically about a group of these people who are going in to explore this island where they believe that there was, you know, something there, and of course they get there and discover that, you know, Kong is there, and he ends up basically destroying their you know, planes, and they end up getting stranded there on this island, and the other ships is out there, and they don't really have any way to communicate with them. So it's kind of them trying to figure out how they're going to get off of this island, and John C. Reilly, though, is on this island with this whole tribe there, and like I said, the John C. Reilly aspects in this are amazing, just like really fun, and I like that this movie kind of, you know, added the humor aspect to this, and this is also setting up the new, like, the universe that they're doing, you know, with Warner Brothers films, with like the connections to this, and then the Godzilla movie, because the Godzilla movie is going to connect. I thought King Kong versus Godzilla, I believe, is going to be the next film, so it's kind of a cool whole thing to set up this whole universe, and I feel like this one, like I said, really worked. Definitely one for a 4K release. If you guys have a 4K, you know, TV and player, this movie looks outstanding in this. You know, really good top-notch effects in this movie. And the big thing too, like I always say, is the HDR, which is the high dynamic range, which is the aspect of the contrast levels and the brightness levels. And of course, you know, it's also sharper as well, but I feel like that the colors in this, especially, it was all set in the woods and the jungle and stuff, and really has a cool look. Lots of different features on here, a two-part explanation on the rebirth and recreation of the iconic monster, as well as a number of other featurettes, deleted scenes on here, a director's commentary, but a really great release. Like I said, I really thought this was a fun movie. The next one, like I said, Warner Bros. Sent over as well for free to check out. This is the complete fourth season of the TV show, The 100. This is one I watched like pretty much all of the first season, but then like I sporadically only seen some of the other ones. This is basically a show which is kind of like post-apocalyptic kind of end of the world show where, you know, some people, like there's very few people left on the earth, and it's kind of like an end of the world kind of thing about the survivors. And this is dealing with at the point now where, you know, the nuclear reactors are kind of starting to go. Like, they did that too on the Last Man on Earth, the last season of Last Man on Earth, dealing with the nuclear reactors and how they're going to stop this, and, you know, kind of where they're going to go to get away from the radiation and all that kind of stuff, and if there's a way they can stop and what they can do. And this season is basically dealing with a lot of that kind of aspect. Like I said, this is the fourth season of the show. This has on here, though, you know, 60 minutes of bonus content here, and it, you know, it has like featurettes on the movie, featurettes on the TV show, the 100 2016 Comic-Con panel, you know, unaired scenes, as well as a gag reel on this one. The next one here from Sony, and this is, I think this is the third of the, you know, CGI animated Resident Evil films, and this one is Resident Evil Vendetta, and this is a 2-disc one that has, you know, the Blu-ray as well as a bonus disc. This is basically, though, about, and I actually played these games. Like, I haven't played any of them recently, but, like, you know, I remember playing, like, probably, like, 1 to 5. Like, you know, that was, like, my big accomplishment. I remember, like, beating these games. I always actually really been a fan of the Resident Evil, and this one, especially when it comes to the CGI animated films, they've gotten so top-notch with the details of these now, especially with the motion capture to the faces and, like, the, you know, because it's, like, really, like, to the point now that looks almost like real. It's kind of amazing with how good these effects have gotten. And this is dealing with now, though, this this kind of evil scientist who is getting revenge because of something that had happened on everybody, and he's kind of finding this way to take this gene that's dormant in all these people, and with this kind of spray kind of concoction that he's created to unleash it to kind of turn people into zombies. And he has kind of the ability, though, that he could basically turn everybody into zombies everywhere because of this kind of spray that he's invented, and because it doesn't have to be done through like a bite or anything like that. He can just kind of let this substance out, and the substance can't do anything on its own. It has to be like with the dormant, so they kind of have to be together. It's an interesting kind of thing. It's basically about these people trying to stop him to keep him from, you know, letting this stuff out and, you know, spreading the whole virus to the point where it would get unattainable. And this is all set too in New York. I'm pretty sure it was in New York. Like I said, really really well done, top-notch, animation this one, and the motion capture work was great. It has on here, though, a commentary track on here, and then some featurettes talking about the motion capture and a set tour, as well as some Tokyo game footage as well on this one. But really pretty cool movies if you guys are a fan of the Resident Evil, animated films. And the next one from Fox is the new movie Wilson, starring Woody Harrelson. And I like this because it's the same writer, Daniel Clowes, who wrote Ghost World and, wrote the graphic novel, and he wrote the Wilson graphic novel as well. And, if you know Ghost World, it's kind of got that same kind of humor. This is a real, like, ultimate kind of mean-spirited, kind of, like, negative vibe movie. It's about this guy, Wilson, who's kind of really depressed, and he's really, like, kind of wandering through life and not really having much going on. And he ends up finding out one day, though, that his, this girlfriend, played by Laura Dern, that he had not seen in years and he wants to reconnect with, and ends up finding her. He finds out, though, that she actually was pregnant, and he thought that she kind of got rid of the baby, and like had an abortion, but it turns out she actually had the baby and went up for adoption. So he wants to find this daughter, and it's like his goal to find her, and they both kind of work together to find her. And he finds her very early on. It's kind of them kind of weaseling their way into the daughter's life, and they're kind of like spying on her and watching her and like kind of wanting to help her out because she kind of is in school and she doesn't, they see her kind of getting picked on by people and like having all kinds of like bad stuff going on in her life. So they kind of want to try and help her, and it's kind of like getting Woody Harrelson's character kind of finally starting to feel like he's got a purpose, which is like to help his daughter and to help, and maybe get back with his old ex-girlfriend, and because things, Laura Dern, it's starting to seem like things are finally going well again. It's just a very quirky, mean-spirited, funny movie. I said it had some really mixed reviews, but for some reason, like to me, like it's got the same kind of vibe to Ghost World. And if you guys like Ghost World, definitely check this out. It's got on here deleted scenes as well as some featurettes on this one. The next one, just want to let you guys know, this one is available now. This is the complete third season of the TV show The Strain, and this is, produced by Guillermo del Toro. And the new season, I think, is just starting. It's going to be the final season of this show, because that's going to be the last one. This is basically, though, about like a vampire-type virus going around, and this is like people who are trying to stop it. This is one, though, like I said, I have only watched this one here and there, but just want to let you guys know, though, that this one is available now. The complete third season here of this one, and has on here, though, some series intro on here, as well as like music video, deleted scenes, and a gag reel. Next one, I just finished watching this one. This one is from, believe it's from Welgo, USA. And it's it's a documentary called With Great Power, the Stan Lee Story. This was made, I think, in 2010. I believe is when this was first done, and it's basically a documentary, though, on Stan Lee's life, and it kind of shows how he started with the comic books, and and how, like, talking about how at the time he never would have guessed what they became, and it kind of shows all through up until 2010 with how and it also shows, too, how Marvel was having a whole lot of problems at first with kind of having hits when it comes to films. And it talks to them about the failures and how it's now led up to what it is now. And when things were finally starting to hit with the Iron Man films, and the Spider-Man was like the first really big thing where, finally things were looking up for Marvel. And now Marvel is like the biggest thing. And it's kind of all about like Stan Lee's start up until how he kind of continued to grow and him now. And they even have a fun thing here, too, showing a whole lot of his cameo scenes. And that's one thing I love with Stan Lee, is like seeing him cameo in pretty much most of the Marvel movies. Like that's one of my favorite things, is just seeing what they have him do in the movies. But if you guys are a fan of Stan Lee, really, really good documentary all about him and his start and everything. The next ones I got from Gravitas Ventures, and these are ones I really wanted to see, especially this one called Blood Hunters. This is from the same director of the movie called Silent Retreat, which is a really, really cool horror film. This one is basically, the movie is called Blood Hunters. And this is about this woman who ends up, wakes up in this kind of hospital, and she's pregnant. She has no idea how she got there, doesn't know what's going on, and she ends up like kind of finding herself locked in this room, and like everyone in the room is like dead. Like the one doctor in there is like dying, and she ends up, luckily, before he like totally dies, she gets the key card, the code to get out of the room, and it's kind of her wandering through the hospital, seeing these dead people everywhere, like blood everywhere, having no clue what is going on, and she hears like talking in there, if anyone's in here, come and help me and come to this room. And she like gradually starts to find people in there, and it's kind of them in there with these creatures having no clue exactly, you know, what's going on and how they're going to get out of there. And it's kind of like basically they find themselves trapped in there. The door is locked to get outside. The movie kind of has a vibe to me of like Day of the Dead mixed with like Cube, that kind of same kind of feeling of like people in there. And they, you know, a lot of the people there, like the doctors and stuff, they know for the most part some of them what's going on, but she mainly has no clue what's going on. There's also like this priest in there, and they're all kind of trying to figure out though how they're going to get out of there, because there's these creatures, and they kind of have to, yeah, it also has a bit of like a pitch black kind of feel too, because they have to kind of keep a light out, you know, because like the creatures are afraid of the light, so that's like if they have like flashlights and stuff, the creatures kind of run away and stuff, and they're kind of hiding everywhere. And it's pretty much just them trying to figure out though how they're going to get out of there. And the big thing too, this movie really relies on the creatures, and the creatures were actually pretty creepy. They kind of had the look of like Alien Resurrection a little bit to me, like the new creatures and the new aliens in that film kind of had that sort of look. But I really dug this movie a lot. It also was reminding me of that movie called Dead Pit from the 80s. I think it was the 80s film. It kind of had a mix of all these things together, but I really dug this movie. I just thought it was actually kind of a cool, creepy movie. The next one here, this was actually an interesting concept. It's a movie called 5150 Secrets Can Kill. And this is about these, it starts off 3 years earlier, and these three girls, like their one friend is like, and they don't really see her. One's a stepsister, and the other ones are friends with her, and they kind of see her here and there, and she's kind of, something is going on. She's going absolutely crazy. She's in her apartment complex. She's saying all this crazy stuff. She's causing all this noise. The neighbors are going nuts. They're going, you're going to have to get rid of her. You're going to have to get her out of here. What we're going to do. And they end up, you know, basically calling the police, and the police are calling the psychiatrist and stuff, saying that we can have you forcibly commit her to psychiatric hold, go to the psych hospital to basically be held there. And this is like what ends up happening. And then it's 3 years later, and she has gotten out, and she contacts the one girl saying that she wants to see them. She has lots of stuff she needs to tell them, and they kind of don't want to tell her where they live and stuff. So they come up with this idea of like renting out this house, so that, because they really do not want this girl to have any clue where they live or anything, so they rent this whole place out and kind of come up with like, oh, this is, we live here, yes, this is her house and stuff. And then she kind of comes there and talks to them and has all this stuff she wants to say, like, I can't believe what you did to me. And then she's like saying how she's like, there's all this money that she needs to get from them, because this guy is going to kill her if she doesn't pay this money for these drugs and stuff, all this kind of problems and stuff. And something bad ends up happening that these girls end up doing, and that's where the movie really picks up, and it becomes like a total nightmare, and these girls have to figure out what they're going to do. Like, it's one of those movies where it kind of like is one way, and then all of a sudden flips the switch and becomes like a totally different movie, and like takes these crazy turns. I dug this movie. It was a really interesting kind of thing about these girls like really going to like a crazy route and direction of what they do, and like it has like kind of super, like, I don't know, it's just like really crazy movie. I really like this movie a lot. And the last one from the company as well, the great Gravita's Ventures, is a movie called Awaken the Shadowman. This is a movie, it's basically, though, about the one's mother ends up going missing, and she kind of lives in this kind of weird area out in the middle of nowhere, and she's kind of associating with this kind of cult of these people, these odd group of people. And they're like, the one son hasn't seen her in a long time, and he ends up coming back to try and find the mother and figuring out exactly where she is, what could end up happening, if something bad happened to her. And, he goes back into the town, and, he's kind of there, and seeing the mother's friends, and the mother's friends are really kind of odd and acting really strange. And then you're seeing, like, too, somebody outside of the house is kind of spying on them and lurking around, and it's kind of like, it's trying to deal with exactly what has happened to the mother and what she is, and what this kind of cult and these group of these people that she's kind of been linked to, what is with them, because they're very peculiar. Something seems really off about them. Something seems kind of off about the one son kind of coming back now, and the brother is kind of, giving the one all kind of problems, and it's kind of like he really doesn't want to be back there, but he really wants to try and find the mother and see what's kind of happened. It's a pretty creepy, weird thing, trying to figure out what's going on with this this whole cult and everything. It has on here, though, a commentary track and behind-the-scenes featurettes on this one. The next one, this is one I really wanted to see, a found footage movie from Epic Pictures, and it's a movie called The Dark Tapes. And this is, like I said, it's a found footage movie. One person I know was in this, Shane Hartline, and it was kind of cool to see him in this. And it's basically a bunch of different, it's like I think 4 different tapes, and it's all like found footage tapes, and it's all around these people that are, I think they're like trying to do like an experiment with like ghosts or something. I'm trying to remember what the main tape is, because it kind of cuts back and forth between them. And the one tape, though, was like something weird that happened in a house. The other one was all like done through webcams. Like this kind of cam girl is talking to, you know, Shane Hartline's character about like talking to him, and then like kind of weird things are happening, and she's seeing like weird, like ghoulish kind of things cutting in between the footage. And like it's all, like I said, it's all deals with like these dark tapes that have kind of been discovered, and them trying to, you know, weird stuff happening. And like I said, it kind of cuts back and forth to the wraparound segment as well. But the tapes on here, I thought for the most part they were actually pretty good. The cam girl one I thought was the most interesting one of them. I'm trying to remember what some of the other ones were, but that one really stood out to me on here. And this one you guys can get, you know, I think you can rent this one in Redbox, and exclusively, though, you can order it from the Epic Pictures website. So I'll put a link, though, below if you guys are interested in seeing this one and checking out the trailer for this one. But a pretty decent found footage movie. The next one's here from Wild Eye Releasing. This is one called, and this was kind of a fun found footage movie because of the banter between the two characters, and it's a movie called Moth, and it's basically, though, about this teacher who wants to kind of, do a kind of a documentary on the Mothman, but they're not going to Virginia. She's going to like an area somewhere in Europe where they're hearing about all these kind of Mothman type encounters, because the Mothman is like this kind of weird creatures that people say they see, and it's based out of West Virginia, the story about this bridge and stuff, and they made the Mothman Prophecies movie about it as well with Richard Gere. But she wants to do this kind of documentary experience, finding this area where these people have gone missing and weird things that happen, and she gets one student to sign up in her class to go with her, and it's this guy, and there's some really amazing banter between both of them, and like they're kind of saying really weird stuff to each other, and the teacher's also at some points trying to pick up the student, and he's like, well, I'm not here for that. And it's just this weird, like, thing. He's like, I don't really know you. Like that. It's like this weird, like, kind of banters back and forth between them. And they kind of start to go into these weird areas where things are kind of abandoned and there's nobody around. It's kind of a creepy, I guess, it's like, I like mainly the kind of banters between the two of them. Because it was just like, these weird kind of conversations about them in the car. And it legitimately felt like a found footage movie, because it really felt like it was this kind of thing about them kind of filming a vlog about their adventures, and it really did seem real. And that's the thing with found footage movies, if you can do it like that and kind of give it a legitimate feel, and this one kind of had that feel. The next one, and I really like this one, it's actually a very scientific horror movie, because it deals with like astrophysics and like, planes and other planes of existence and harnessing powers. It's, like I said, it's a movie called The Control Group, which stars Brad Dourif, mainly known, I would say, for the voice of Chucky. I've always, loved him. He's been in a lot of really cool indie horror films as well, a lot of bigger movies, lots of different stuff. But this is a movie, like I said, called The Control Group, and it's a thinking man's horror movie, though, because it deals, like I said, through all these kind of scientific kind of stuff. And it's another movie kind of with a sort of cube feel about these people who woke up in this insane asylum, and they have no idea how they got there, and they're kind of trying to like think back to what they can last remember, and it kind of cuts back and forth to what they remember. Like some of them were at a party, another one was a different kind of location, and they're there in this building, and they're like thinking like, have we been drugged? Because they're seeing really weird things. They're seeing like weird reflections in the mirror. The one guy is seeing this kind of talking ghost kind of woman there who's like talking real fast and high pitched and like wondering what is going on. And it's essentially, though, without ruining anything, it deals with, though, Brad Dourif is like this scientist who's kind of like the guy behind the curtain watching the people who are in there. And that's all I really want to say, because I don't really want to ruin too much about it. But like I said, it deals all with like your kind of like existence going into other bodies and your, you know, your energy force. And like I said, it was slightly confusing, some of it, and it was definitely a thinking man's horror movie. But Brad Dourif did a really good job in this one. I really dug this movie because it just had a cool concept to it, and really I can't say of anything else I've seen recently that had this same kind of feel. It has on here though a commentary track, a pretty good behind the scenes thing on here. I think it was like 20 minutes, something like that, on this one. And the next one here from Level 33 Entertainment. This is a movie you guys can rent in Redbox now as well. It's a movie starring Scott Eastwood. Jamie Kennedy's in this movie as a cameo. Chris Kattan is in it. Malcolm McDowell. It's a movie called Walk of Fame. And this was funny. This has that kind of 2000s kind of comedy feel to it. And it's basically though about Scott Eastwood that meets this one girl who's this actress. And he kind of really likes her. And he doesn't really know how to talk to her and how to actually find her. But she dropped this card for this kind of acting school on the ground, so he ends up going to this acting school mainly just to see her and try and talk to her. And it's the acting school is put on by, you know, Malcolm McDowell is kind of the head of the school, and Chris Kattan is one of the other teachers. And it's one of those really kind of ridiculous, over the top kind of acting school, and like when there's some really peculiar acting students there, and Scott Eastwood's character is kind of working with Chris Kattan, and the students are all kind of trying to move up, you know, to actually be able to be in Malcolm McDowell's class. And Malcolm McDowell is like plays this real over the top kind of full of himself kind of acting teacher who never really has done any film work or anything, but he's like one of those kind of acting teachers that's kind of like hasn't really done too much, but yet he's still teaching, and he, you know, you don't really know if he has any clue what he's talking about at all. It's just a very funny, especially Chris Kattan has some really funny stuff in this. Like I said, it has that feel of like a 2000 something movie. You guys know what I'm talking about, that kind of like over the top kind of comedy vibe. And there were some really funny, like I said, cameos in here, and some of the other acting students in the class trying to work together to get into Malcolm McDowell's class. But I really liked this movie. It was a really pretty funny one. The next one here, and this was kind of funny to see this again because, like, you know, this show started in 1996, so I think it was like 10 or 11 when this was first on. So I was sort of a kid, sort of at the same time a little old to be watching it a little bit. But I remember, like, every time I was waiting for like the bus at school and stuff, I remember this was always on in the morning. So I always saw this as a little, not a kid, like I said, 10 or 11. But it's a movie, you know, a TV series called Arthur, and this actually has some of the early episodes on here, and as well as some of the new ones. But, you know, this is one I always watched, you know, like, especially mainly, like, when I was, you know, waiting for the bus in, like, middle school and stuff. I always saw it, like, 6 o'clock in the mornings. I was always up really, really early. I had, to be honest with you, have not seen this show, you know, probably since like 1999 or 2000, so it's been a really long time. But this is just a new collection of them together with some new and old ones in here. And the last two here are from a company called the Sleaze Box, and these are like two anthology movies, and one is called Fiendish Fables, and the other one is Ghoulish Tales. I mainly want to tell you guys about, both of them are fun, like anthology movies, but I want to tell you guys mainly about Ghoulish Tales, because I actually have like a little appearance in this movie playing the news guy. I filmed this one back in like 2013, so it was before I lost the weight and stuff. But it's a really funny movie, like especially like this one I love the best because it was like an anthology movie about this babysitter telling these stories to this kid, and they're all kind of like really weird stories about, like, they kind of reminded me a little bit of like the Willies, kind of over the top, and like one is about these people trying to rob this house from this woman, and she's actually a vampire. Other one is trying to bring back this one back from the dead, and there's all these weird stuff about trying to dig up this body, and this like, and everybody's kind of wearing kind of odd wigs and stuff. Like, it's just they're really fun, over the top ones. You know, George Stover appears in both of them as well, but they're just, I don't know, I really dug these movies. Just really, really fun movies here. But anyway though, guys, that's all for the review portion of this video. Thanks again for watching and subscribing, and I'll see you guys later.